Hey, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brooke. If you're new here, this is a channel where I talk about houseplants and do DIYs on my shorts. So if you haven't, take a minute and subscribe to my channel. That would be great. And if you are a recurring viewer, thank you so much for coming back and watching another video. I'm super excited because I've hit 500 subscribers, and that's really awesome to me because I started this channel 2 years ago, technically, or more. And then I got hit with just things and I stopped this channel. So I've picked it up in the last year, I think this year. Yeah, I think earlier this year. And so I'm excited that 500 of you have subscribed to my channel and very thankful that you enjoy these videos and that you find something useful in them. Today, we're actually going to do a repot and I'm going to answer some questions that I get often asked often. So these are either text messages from friends or online, comments that have come in through my Pinterest, or just random comments that I talk to people and they ask me questions once they find out that I am into plants. So, and then I'm going to be doing a little repotting / potting up. So this Burley Marks, I came back from vacation and I think I shared this already, but the leaves were yellowing because I forgot to water it before I left. But it also needs repotted. It grows very quickly. And so I'm going to repot it into a bigger pot here. This is a almost 6-inch pot. It's 5.5-inch pot. This is probably a 3-inch pot, I believe. And so I'm going to be potting this guy up, looking at its roots, making sure that it's doing well. It's one of my favorites, so I'm trying to keep it alive. This is the only issue I've ever had with it, is for me forgetting to water it and the leaves turning slightly yellow. Otherwise, this plant has been extremely easy to care for, and just a really good grower. And so it sits under a Barina grow light right here, and it is set there its entire, like me owning it, life. But then, if you are new here and you didn't know, this is my firstborn. Yeah. And he usually makes appearances along with the cat, but today they're not. Anyways, I am doing a pop-up, I guess you could call it, like a show. I don't know what it is. It's just like a little Christmas fair that is in Rockwall, Texas on the 16th of December. So that's next Saturday, not this Saturday. Well, it's Sunday today. But next Saturday. So I am going to be potting up more plants for it. So I've already done videos where I took all of the plants out of my greenhouse, like propagations, I should say, that I've been doing, took them out, potted them up. And so now I have more. So that I didn't even cover half, and there are still more in there that I need to pull out and pot up. But a lot of these are just little 2-inch pots or 4-inch pots, great little starter plants. And so if you are in the area, Dallas area, you can come stop by and shop all of these different little plants. So let's get started. Let's start with this guy. Let's start with this guy. So this Burley Marks variegated is in my soil. If you are new here or you're a recurring viewer and just don't know, I have my own soil mix that is listed on my Etsy shop. I will also be selling it at the fair. And so you can come by and grab a bag in person. But it's just a very chunky, soilless mix that I've been using for months now. And so it is already planted in this. I'm going to be using it, what's in here, and just potting it up into this pot. So not wasting any of this good stuff. Oh my gosh. Put them in here. Yeah. Yeah. This guy this is a great repotting. And so this leads me to one of my questions that I get often or asked often is, when should I repot my plants? So a lot of people like to repot their plants as soon as they get them from the big box store or plant store. You can do that if you use your own soil mix. I would give it a minute, like a couple days, to acclimate to your area, because plants do go through a period of like acclimation from where they were growing to your home, because they are different. And so I never just like get a plant and repot it personally. There have been times where I have done that because of a pest issue that is present. If I've purchased a plant, I will immediately repot them if I see anything like that. But normally I just let them wait. And I honestly let them wait and grow out of the pot that they're in, and then I repot them. So I don't go immediately planting new plants into my soil mix. I kind of let them just do their thing, grow out of it, And then when it's time, which means that if you are watering more frequently, if you're noticing that like you are just constantly watering a plant, that means that there is not enough soil to retain the water that the plant needs. And so that could be a root to soil ratio issue, which means that the roots are overtaking the soil and there's not enough soil again to retain that moisture. So this is a good example how this guy is really well rooted all the way around. And on bottom too, I'm just dropping pieces everywhere, but this is time for a repot. This means it's time for a repot. So again, I was having to water this guy often, like, I mean, probably every 3 days. So if that's the case, it's time for a repot. So I knew that this was time for a repot. Another sign that, you know, is hard, it can mean yes, your plants need to be repotted or maybe not, is the roots coming out of the bottom of the pot. If you have drainage holes, which you should, if you have drainage holes and you've noticed that there are roots coming out of the bottom, sometimes it can just be a loner root that is just searching for water, but a lot of times it can mean that the plant is outgrowing the pot and now it's searching for more space. And so you for sure want to check your roots. When your soil is dry, or actually no, I would say when your soil is moist, sorry. And if you see roots coming out of the bottom, you can just gently pull up the plant from your pot, separate it a little bit, and just check the roots. If the roots are coming in a circular pattern all the way around, then it's probably time for a repot. If it's just one lone root going down, it's fine. You don't need to repot it.
I'm directing.
Okay. This is for sure repotting time. The roots are going crazy, which is really good. They have a lot of aerial roots coming out of here, and yeah, it's just time. Okay, baby, please. So also people say like, what can you, or how do I repot them? So if you are using a specific soil mix, you're going to want to try to get all of the soil that was previously on your plant off of it. If not, you can use the same soil. You can just stick it in the pot, in the new pot, which I say pot a size up. So like 4, 6, 8, 10. So it's a 4-inch pot, pot it up to a 6-inch. Don't go from a 4-inch to a 10-inch. That's going to create too much soil for your plant, and it's just going to sit in water and it's never going to like fully use it all. And so that'll cause pest issues, mostly fungus gnats. But if you are using a specific soil, like this soilless soil mix, I don't want any soil products on this. And so I would have removed all of the previous soil from this plant and then put my new mix in it completely. So that is potted up now. I've added soil. Again, this is going from a 3-inch to a 5.5 inch. So that is perfect. I'm going to set it back under my Barina grow light. I will make sure to water it. I will make sure to water it after this video. I need to water a lot of my plants too. I've not watered a lot of these. That's like my quick, distracted repotting question that I get often asked. So I would definitely check the roots of your plant prior to potting up. And then make sure you are planting into a well-draining pot. That means drainage holes at the bottom, because it is a good thing to let the water drain all the way through and not just sit at the bottom. Which brings me to my next question that I get asked often: watering. I think watering is like a big question that a lot of people ask because it is difficult to get right and it can kill your plants pretty easily. Plants need water, but not as much water as you think, or not as frequent waterings as you think, I should say, sorry. But I get asked often, can I water them with a ice cube? I've actually gotten this question so many times. I think it's because people see like other people watering their plants with ice cubes, or orchids with ice cubes, which my grandmother did. She watered her orchids with ice cubes. So if that's working for you, great. Go on, keep on watering with ice cubes. But in reality, you should be soaking your plant and thoroughly watering it every time. And so the watering schedule can totally depend on your house, your humidity level, the window that it's sitting in, the soil that the plant is in, how big the plant is. There are so many variations to this question. And so oftentimes I have a hard time answering because I don't know what their space is like. I don't know what the soil is like. And so these are just the basic, I would say, do's and don'ts maybe of plants and watering them. But quickly, I'm going to take this Monstera Stanleyana Albo and pot it up or check it out because the roots are looking real good. And hopefully I can pot it up into like one of these 2-inch pots and make a couple plants in it. I've been doing like 3 individual cuttings in each. That way it'll be 3 like separate shoots, but hopefully I can do that. Anyways, back to the watering. And so these are my watering things. I water, I would say almost every single plant that I own when the water or when the soil is completely dry. That doesn't work for every plant. So there are exceptions. So Calathea, for instance, they will hate their lives. Oop, I really just did that. Anyways, Calathea, they do not like to dry out. Alocasia, they don't like to dry out. But I mostly collect aroids, so I'll be speaking to that. So that is your Monstera, your Pothos, your Philodendron, your Scindapsus, your Syngonium, Anthurium. And so what I do is I wait until the soil is completely dry, and then I wait about a day, honestly, and then I will water them. And I do top water my plants 99% of the time. I used to bottom water them, which will help out with fungus gnat issues. It will actually help your roots grow stronger because it's making them pull down, like forcing them to pull down to get that water versus top watering. It's just kind of like the water goes to them. And so I haven't noticed a difference, honestly. So with my new soilless mix, I don't have to worry about fungus gnats as often. I would say I haven't seen them at all. You can always get fungus gnats. Fungus gnats are based on root rot. And so they will, if you're watering them more consistently than you should, you can get that. And that's very easy to get. And so I don't deal with it. So I don't bottom water anymore. But a lot of people prefer that because it does cut down on that. Typically, they say that fungus gnats live within the top inch of soil. I personally have seen them at the bottom of the soil, depending if you have nursery pots that have holes in the bottom sides, they'll go in there and they will bury themselves and, you know, procreate, and it can cause an issue. So bottom watering really isn't going to help you. If you have a smaller plant, bottom watering isn't going to help you because, or keep the fungus gnats away because it's a smaller, shallower pot. And so an inch, not really much when you're bottom watering, it still goes up. Anyways, you can bottom water them, you can top water them. I top water them until the water is running out. Why do I do that? Because why would I want to sit there and water like a cup? So I've had this question. How many cups do I water my plant with? There's no cups. You just no cups. You just water until it is thoroughly like draining out the bottom. And so that ensures that the entirety of the soil is well soaked and the plant is well watered. And then that also alleviates the issue of you having to water it every couple of days. If you're watering with a cup, you're going to have to water it every couple of days to actually get the roots saturated with water. Otherwise, it's just going to be a pain. And so I water them thoroughly. So water them till the water is just rushing out. And then that will also help kind of alleviate I can't even think of what it's like, not chemicals, but there's buildup in the soil. And so it kind of pushes them down and releases them out so that it's not just sitting on top of your soil. It kind of just flushes all of it out versus bottom watering. If you do bottom water, you probably want to do that every so often. That way it's just flushing all of the stuff that I can't think about what it's called out of the pot. But yes, I just water them until they are draining out the bottom thoroughly. I water them depending on the size. Again, that one, my Burley Marks, I was watering every 3 days. That was because the soil was not enough. And so I needed to repot it. But otherwise, I personally water probably every week in the summer and every 2 weeks in the winter, depending on the size of the plant. This Monstera Thai Constellation, it is in a huge like gallon or bigger pot. I don't even know, terracotta pot. And it is in my soil mixture. And I water it about every month or 2 months. My Esqueleto, which is in regular soil and it's in a gallon, I water it about every month. And so it completely depends. This one gets full bright light from a 35 watt light. My Esqueleto does not get any light. Right now it gets north facing light. My plants under my grow lights, they get Barina grow lights and Sansi lights. But I, again, water them probably every week or 2 weeks. And so it truly just depends. But the great thing about it is, I mean, if you're using a soilless mix, it's easy to not overwater as much. You can kind of water more often than you would a soil mixture, which is going to retain the water and just soak it in and like be stagnant and gross and cause fungus gnat and root rot issues. So I kind of just water whenever I feel happy if I'm in the mood. But if I have soil, I'm definitely going to check the soil. You can use a moisture meter. I personally find them not accurate. And so I would definitely use a moisture meter all around the pot. This is a question that I've gotten asked before too about moisture meters and working. If you are going to use one, don't just stick it in one spot in the center, because most likely the soil will be dry there, because that's probably where the majority of the roots are. Check the outer all the way around. And then use your finger. If you're sticking your finger an inch in, so like up to your knuckle, and it comes back out with soil, I would wait on watering. But again, it really depends on size. So I also just lift up my pots. If I feel like I could just like easily throw it like that, then I water it. But otherwise, if it feels heavy, I don't water it. That's how I do it, honestly. I don't use a moisture meter anymore or anything. But again, you can if you want extra confidence in that. But yeah, watering, make sure when you are watering, you are thoroughly watering and not just a cup or not just an ice cube. Okay, these Stanleyanas. So not as well rooted as I would have like expected, or not as expected, but as I saw in the thing. Like some of them are, and so I think I'm going to pot a few of these up because they are rooted well, but 2 of them are not. So I actually have 3 and 3, and that works perfectly. Yeah, 3 and 3. So I'm going to do 3 small little ones, and then these little ones, like these guys right here. Oh wait, that one's not rooted. Boo. Okay, so I might have to wait on these guys a little bit longer because I don't think I have any. I know, I don't think I have any Stanleyanas. I think I have Stanleyanas somewhere in there. Oh wait, I have them right here. Never mind. Okay, we might be good. Another question I get asked a lot is like browning and yellowing leaves. So it's hard to tell you what is like overwatering issue and what is an underwatering issue, because they have the same sites. They have the same patterns. And so they can cause yellowing leaves or they could cause browning leaves. I would say that if your plant has been outside for the summer and you have brought it in now, and the leaves start to brown, it's probably a humidity issue. Okay, cow. It's probably a humidity issue. And so you can try raising the humidity around your plant, or you could try watering it a little bit more frequently. So it might not dry out all the way, just to give it some, period of, moistness and not drying completely out to where the humidity is a little bit raised, because watering your plants does create humidity. But this is just a leaf. Why is that in there? Okay. Anyways. But you can, yeah, raise the humidity level by that. People use pebble trays. I don't think they work. You can use humidifiers if you're trying to raise the humidity, which I have a humidifier, and I think it works really well for my plants. Some people don't prefer them. They would just rather their plant get over it, basically, and survive, which they completely will. But browning tips, yeah, it's difficult to tell you. If you have variegated plants and they're white, they're albos, a lot of times that can just be a humidity issue or just an issue for albos, because it's a lack of chlorophyll, and so it's unnatural, and the plant's leaves can't technically survive like that. So humidity, I would say, like browning leaves, mostly a humidity issue probably, and a watering issue if you're not watering it enough. So try to up your watering a little bit. If you feel like you are watering it enough, maybe try bumping your humidity up. Otherwise, if it's yellowing leaves, I would say majority of the time, it's probably an overwatering issue and you need to cut back. I've got enough Stanleyanas here that are rooted, so I'm going to pot them up. Oh, and I have these Scindapsus that are well rooted right there. I'm trying not to do it. And I had a breakout of thrips on my a couple of my melanochrysum. There we go. I didn't even realize that I had all these melanochrysum here, but another plant, I have a mother plant of my melanochrysum, and it's just giving me a really difficult time. And it had thrips. It got thrips recently, and so, which isn't surprising to me. I've kind of given up on melanochrysums. They're really annoying. They're beautiful plants, but it was a wish list plant, and this is just kind of why I've given up on wish list plants, is because 9 out of 10, they're always just going to fail you. So they're plants, but I took it out and separated it from all my plants and treated all my other plants, and they all looked fine, but I just realized that there's monochrysum there, and now I'm worried that these guys are going to be affected, but I don't see anything, so I've sprayed all these down and whatnot. So that kind of leaves me to another question that I get often asked is pests. You know, like pests can happen to someone who has one plant, has hundreds of plants. Pests are not like more pests or pest issues don't mean you have a lot of plants. Like it can be just very few plants. Like I had a friend who had one plant, birds of paradise, and it got spider mites, thrips, and scale. And so I tried to rescue it for her. It did not work. Oops. It did not work. Plant ended up dying. I let it go. But yeah, she only had one plant, did not have any other plants in her home. Your plants can get pests by you bringing them in from the outside. And so a lot of produce has pests on it that you might not see. That's why we wash them off. There are pests that could be lurking by your window, and if you open it and your plant is near, like it can come in. That's how I got thrips one time. I actually saw the mother like come in, and I said to myself, oh, that looks like a thrip. And sure enough, it was because I had like plants like outside flowering right by that window, and my monstera was on the inside of that window, and I just had opened up the window to let the fresh breeze in, and bugs came in. So it did get thrips, and I knew it. Like I knew that it would. So that was a bummer. So that can be one way your pets can bring pests in. They can bring them on their fur, and so you never know. Yeah, there can be a lot of different ways for pests to get in, and so it doesn't always mean that you're not taking care of your plants. It can literally just mean like it got brought in somehow from the outside, and yeah, but treating them. So there are ways that you can treat them. You can constantly treat them by spraying your plants down and cleaning their leaves with like Jack said bug brew, which is what I prefer to use, or a neem oil to protect them, or another like insecticidal soap that of your choosing, whatever you might want. But I would definitely, I've lacked in doing this lately, but clean your leaves, clean them off, even just using water to clean them off. You're just breaking that cycle of like the life cycle of that pest is what you're doing, in hopes that it just kind of goes away and doesn't come back. But I have noticed that if a plant gets pests, more often than not, it will continue to get them. And so it just becomes more susceptible to them, which is a bummer. And so in that case, if you are having a pest issue, I would definitely watch that plant, treat it with, again, an insecticidal soap. You can use systematic granules, which will kill everything but spider mites, and do that like every time you water, like watering it in just like a fertilizer, and that will kill off anything. And I've heard people have great time with that, and it works really well. I don't use that because then it makes your entire plant toxic. And so some plants are automatically toxic, like your pothos and your philodendron. But some plants like your ponytail palm or your calathea or certain ferns, Hoya, I believe, are pet friendly. It makes them toxic to every plant. And you have to be very careful because that systematic granules will even kill the good bacteria on your plants. So there are good pests that will help kill the bad pests. And so it will kill them as well. So it's just like, you just need to watch it and pay attention. If you are using something like that, make sure there's no children around, you know, eating the soil, no pets around eating the soil. So I don't really do that. I just choose to do the Jack's Dead Bug Brew, and it's a spray, and it sprays and then it dries. And so that seems a lot better and safer to me. The bug does need to ingest it though, so that means that you have to kind of consistently do it. It can't just be a one-time deal. You probably should do it twice a week if you are experiencing thrips or spider mites or anything like that. Scale, I won't even talk to because that's impossible to me to get rid of. You have to get every single little scale off of your plant, and it just is not worth it to me on that point. That's what you can do for pests. These guys, let's check them out and see what how they're doing. These are more Scindapsus. I just chopped my Scindapsus back because it was growing so well. This sat under a Barina, well, the mother plant still sits under a Barina grow light. But these Scindapsus specifically, I can't remember if this is like an exotica or what. There are a few different types, but they grow so quickly if you give them the right light. If you don't give them the right light, they do not grow at all and they'll just die. That's my experience with this guy. And so this one does so well under my Barina grow lights. And so it's been sitting in my greenhouse cabinet rooting, and look at those thick roots. Like I did not do this that long ago, maybe like 2 weeks ago. And it grows so well. So I'm going to pop these guys up. Scindapsus are really pretty plants, and they're pretty common. You can find them in a lot of big box stores, and it's such a great little plant because of the variegation on it. And again, they are typically easier to care for. So it feels like a little bit of a uncommon plant for an easy time, I would say, easy cost and easy care. Another question that I got asked recently by my brother-in-law, who he texted me and said, long time watcher, first time commenter, but in a text, is animals. Like a lot of people in the past have talked about their animals getting into their plants. And so I kind of did a Pinterest video on it. I don't even know, like years ago, I feel like, describing like what you can do if you have pets that are getting into your plants. Number one, if you do have pets that are getting in your plants, gosh, it's hard. I would make sure that you are maybe getting non-toxic plants, and that way you don't really have to completely worry about it. So again, like I said, ponytail palm, ferns. I'm trying to think. So I believe some Hoya are Calathea, so that includes Maranta, Stromanthe, Tenanthe, plants that nobody wants, basically. Those are the ones that are non-toxic to pets, but I would just look at a list and see what you can find for non-toxic plants. But I told my brother-in-law, because his cat, he found a cat. I don't know how it came to him, basically. And so I guess it's been eating a lot of his plants because he's started to get into plants. And I gave him a few tips, like number one, you can spray lemongrass around your plants, around your pot, maybe even in the soil. I don't know. It's not going to hurt it. So like essential oils, taking that and spraying it around your plant, because cats don't like the smell of lemongrass. It's like a deterrent. There are things that you can spray around your plants that will deter cats and pets. But specifically, I feel like cats get into plants. Honestly, the cat that we have has not been a bother. It bats my leaves, so it likes like my big ficus, my fiddly fig leaves, and it bats them, and it has like torn holes in them by doing that. But it hasn't like attacked my plants or ate their leaves or been dramatic about it, I guess. Like some people I have seen, their cats have actually peed in the soil. That's never happened to me, so I cannot speak to that. I'd be very upset though if that did happen to me. And we've had our cat for like 3 years now, so I hope that nothing like that happens. But I would suggest this is what I suggested to my brother-in-law, because his cat is getting in the soil and digging in it. And so that can be a problem with dogs too. But there are like grates, I don't know what they're called, but they're like mesh that go over your pot and fit inside and then just sit on top of the soil, and they're aerated. And so it's not just like a solid plate or anything, but it makes it harder for the animal to actually get into the soil and dig because of it. And so I suggested those to him. I suggested the lemon grass, spraying that around it. And then I have also done rocks and like pebbles on top of my soil. Now, some people absolutely abhorred that when I did it, but it didn't cause me any issues. Don't really care. So you can get like stagnant soil by doing that. But again, you're not using a soilless mix, or if you're using a soilless mix, it's not really that big of a deal. But it can cause stagnant like water to sit there on top of the rocks and underneath of them. So it can cause fungus gnat issues. But bigger pebbles like rocks, like putting rocks on top of the soil, would probably help and deter a cat from getting in there. A dog, I'm sure, would eat them because my dog eats rocks. So I'm sure she would love that. But you can try that, putting like a pebble layer or some like decorative layer or on top of it. You could also try doing like a moss, not a sphagnum moss, but like Spanish moss, just setting it on top of the soil, just anything to like cover the soil, so that the cat may not see it and may not think like, oh, I would like that. But sometimes it's really difficult because they're animals and nothing's going to win most of the time. Even if you put your plants up high, you know, cats can climb. I've seen dogs jump on counters before. So I would suggest also keeping them up high, elevating them off of the floor a little bit. So like some of mine I have on like baskets flipped over and turn. And then other ones, I have them on like little stools. And so they kind of like stay up off of the ground. Helps if you have children too, which is why I do it. So anything to like kind of keep them up higher for a dog. Again, a cat's going to jump, and that one's going to be a bit more tricky to deal with. But I would suggest trying those out and seeing what happens. But I do know that I've been asked in the past, and then was asked recently, like what you do for your pets. And to be frank, I have not had to deal with that. So I'm happy that I haven't had to deal with that. But those are the tips that I could give you if you are struggling with that. So these Melanochrysum, let's just check them. Thrips, you can see if you flip over, they will like look like it's eating your leaf, like part of your leaf's coloring is missing. And so it can be pretty easy to spot. But that usually means that the pest has already taken over, and it's going to be a little bit of a problem to get rid of. But you can also tell by seeing little white spots or specks crawling on your leaves, which I don't see anything on these, and so that makes me happy. But this guy looks a little sad. It's a little sad. But pests, yeah, pests happen. Don't worry about them too much. But those are good. Those are still rooting, and so I need to wait on those. I potted up these 4 Scindapsus. I potted up 3 Stanleyanas, and now I'm going to look at these guys. So these are my, this is a Mayoi, which is going to stay in there for right now because I have other Mayoi rooting. This thing, I don't know what this is. That's a Mayoi cutting, yeah, I cut off. But these Albo Syngoniums are really well rooted, and they're going to go. And I think I'm going to do 2 of each of these. Yeah, 2 of each of these. Do I have any more? I have more I cut off, and they're rooting. I may go get them. I'm going to go get them, and then I'm going to get more soil because I came back with more. So these are the other Mayoi in here, and my Syngonium, and some other things. So we're going to check these out. And again, all of these will be available next weekend. So let's just, so I have 2 Syngonium, because I'm going to do 2 Syngonium, 1 and 2, and that actually works out perfectly because I have, and this guy rooted really well, because I have 3 then elbow syngoniums for sale next week. And then I have too much. I just cleaned all this up yesterday evening, and now it's going to be destroyed again. But this is a little radiatum cutting, and I feel like I have more in there somewhere, so I'm just going to stick it to the side, not worry about it. And then I have some pothos elbow cuttings, and I'm not sure if they rooted or not. This one's kind of rooted, so I'm not going to do anything with those. I'm going to stick those back in there. And then I have this Paraiso Verde cutting, which did, look at those roots. It's so great, and it has a new growth point on it. These little elbows not rooted really well, which I'm surprised about. I have some other ones that I've already potted up. That one rooted fine, but not as thick of a root system as I would like it to have. That one doesn't have anything at all. Whoa. But these Mayoi, let's see about them. This is beautiful Mayoi, and I'll probably do 2 of them in each as well. Yeah, they all have new growth points on them, which is really great. And so I have another Paraiso Verde over there that I'll do. So I only have 1 of them. But all of these have new growth points, and so that's really good. Like that one has a new leaf coming out soon. So I'm going to do 2 of each of these. I have this one right here. Ugh. Ugh, too much. Too much. Goodness. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. Okay, this one rooted. Wow, that rooted really well. Sorry. Rooted really well. That was really stuck. So I'm going to leave these guys, the pothos and stuff in here to root a little bit more. And this radiatum, I'll figure out where his partner is in a moment. But this is going to be crazy. So I'm going to pop these into 4-inch pots. They're going to be huge to sit. Oh my gosh. Oh wait, that's not the right one. So you guys go together. These ones have really great growth points on them. So I feel like I'm going to do this one together. It's great. So I have 4 Mayoi in 4-inch pots that will be up for grabs. And I have a really big mother plant. That's where these came from. And it's so beautiful. Really fun foliage. Very easy to care for plant, like most philodendron. So I'll put them there. Then the last one that I have is this. So here I have 2 of cuttings of my, there's my other radiatum. These have been in here for a while. So let's check out here. So this is a Paraiso Verde again. So I have this Paraiso Verde there. So this one has a really nice new growth point. This one does not. Oh, it does. It does at the bottom. It has a growth point. And then this guy, might just stick all 3 of those together and call it good. Because this one has a growth point at the very bottom too. Like right down there. So I'll stick all these guys together in a 4-inch pot. Totally forgot my syngoniums, by the way. These guys are temperature based. So I have 2 Paraiso Verdes. I have one that's right behind me and then one that sits up underneath my grow lamp. And it's totally temperature based variegation, which is very fascinating to me. So if you don't have like a lot of, if you don't have heat in your home, then it's going to come out primarily green and not have a light variegation. Like this one has a light variegation, but that was because I purchased it from someone who grew it in a greenhouse. But this one I purchased and it was the darker variegation, but still beautiful, just different. Then I have 2 cuttings of my philodendron burley marks variegated that I'm going to part with. And I really don't know whether or not to just put them all in one pot. It's so beautiful. Look at this big leaf. It's so beautiful. They both have new growth points on it. This one actually has multiple new growth points on it because that's just kind of how they do. So currently it has one leaf coming out, 2, 3 growth points, and this one has 2 growth points, 3 growth points, sorry, coming out of it as well. So this could be a big guy, but I think I'll just pop them up together in the 2-inch pot. I have to sneeze. I have to sneeze. Sorry. Bless me. Okay, so I'm just going to pop these guys up.
The cat's in the office.
So this beautiful little guy will be up for grabs. He's so cute. They grow so fast. I really love mine. Here's the other radiatums that I'll stick up there with that one in a minute. Then I have another favorite plant of mine. Oh, I forgot I have these pretty philodendron painted ladies that I'll stick up. I love this plant. It's super easy to grow. Very low maintenance, beautiful variegation. All right. Well, that's all I'm going to be able to get done today. So thanks so much for watching. I'll make sure to pop the rest of these up. Or in the Dallas area, stop on by, grab a plant, and say hello. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.